Welcome back, everybody. It's Brian, Miss Berlin, Mr. Betcher, breaking down security. Hello.
We're back.
Hey.
Strength.
Me and Mr. Betcher never
awake.
really went anywhere, and Miss Berlin's awake. I set her alarm clock, so I was like, this is your 5 p.m. wake-up call, Miss Berlin. Good afternoon, Miss Berlin.
You know, sometimes we just need to sleep.
What?
And that's okay.
No, we sleep when we're dead. We're sleep when we're dead. That's right. I hear that all the time.
I kind of accidentally fell asleep last time.
Yeah.
Now, is that a reflection of being a party animal or just age? Because those are the only two scenarios I can think of where you just fall asleep midday.
I don't even think I was doing anything that day. That was very interesting. I think I worked out in the yard a little bit and cleaned, and then that just that was it.
Wow.
It put you out.
Yeah, It's amazing how a little physical activity will just knock you straight out, and you'll go to bed early. As a matter of fact, this morning I woke up at 6:45 only because of all the time change and stuff. Because here in the third world, that's the United States, we still do daylight savings time. So everybody fell back an hour today. So it was awful. I woke up and it was light outside, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? And I was like, oh, yes, okay. Yeah, so... Well, Miss Berlin, you have a little report. Since the last time we saw you, you went to a couple of conferences. How was Grrcon?
Grrcon was great.
Grrcon, okay.
Yeah, I keynoted. So I gave a new keynote. It's kind of like second part to my other mental health talk.
Okay.
Went over basically what we've done over the last year. And then the rest of it was, and the creation of mental health hackers and how that came about for a catch up for anybody that didn't know what we did.
Awesome.
And then the rest of it was basically just how companies are failing us and what they need to do to help mental health stuff.
Okay. I was like, how companies are failing us in general, or just in terms of
as employees.
Yeah. Right. What were some of the points that you gave there? Was it like they're not giving us enough quiet places and beanbag chairs, or is
flexibility regarding work schedules and not covering mental health stuff as part of health insurance packages. There's a bunch of companies that have started to I listed some really good examples like Johnson & Johnson and Bell Canada that have entire full-blown programs around it that they not only give back to their employees, they give to the community. It seemed to go over really well. I only had a couple of constructive criticisms.
Oh, constructive criticisms of people who didn't get the talk or understand why it needed
this hit too close to home. Why did you make me cry in the audience? Kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. I used to not put a lot of stock into the work-life balance thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized that, work-life balance is also mental health balance as well. You want to make sure that you're not working 60-hour weeks. And if you work or when you interview with a company, one of the things you should probably ask is, what is an average week around here for people? And if they tell you things like, oh, we work until the job is done, then run like a motherfucker. Because I've interviewed with a place like that, and I was like, well, what's the average week, around here? Oh, well, we like to work until the job is done. And I'm like, okay.
No, that's not good.
No amount of money out there that you can pay me. And unfortunately, they survive on caffeine. So if you understand that little clue, as a way of not interviewing at a company that runs on caffeine. Because one of the things when I interviewed with them, they were like, well, we're not an X company, we're an IT security company. I'm like, no, your primary product is not IT security.
Right.
But yeah, their whole thing was about, work until the job's done. They paid really well, but it's like, well, you're not going to be able to spend that money. So, that was the big thing for me. Thankfully, they didn't take me, but I would have had to have driven down there, and it would have been awful. So, cool. Well, I'm glad you had a great talk. I'm glad that you're still changing lives with the mental health hackers. I
actually sat in on a couple really good talks. Cool. I was happy to have the time to do that.
You didn't do a village at Grrcon?
Did not do village. No, it was very nice to kind of sit and watch some of the other talks.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I watched one on beginning of malware, reverse engineering, which was pretty good. Mm-hmm. What was the other one I sat in on? I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah, but 2 or 3 of them, and they were pretty good.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, there've been a couple of good conferences going on. You had Grrcon. I heard nothing but awesome things about the Texas Cybersecurity Summit. Mr. Betcher, Did you go to that?
No, I didn't go to that.
Okay. I know my friend Mr. Gray from Seattle up here was down there talking, and Megan, one of the officers of Mental Health Hackers, was there doing a village. Mm-hmm. Did she have any feedback from you or lessons learned for that one?
No, I haven't talked to her recently.
Oh, okay. I heard there was a lot of great talks there, so I may have to put that one on my radar for next year too.
Yep.
So, looking forward to that. Speaking of talking, hopefully this will go out before the end of next weekend, but November the 8th, which is a Friday, I'm actually going to be up in Bellingham at a conference called TAG, which is...
Where is Bellingham? In Washington?
Yeah, TAG Northwest. It is Technology Alliance Group Northwest, and it's up in Bellingham. They do a Whatcom County, which is it's like above Everett, so it's about 2 hours north of Seattle. And I got invited to come up and speak, and I'm going to be speaking for about 20 minutes on networking and building your network and how to, actively, if you're looking for a job, how to do it in the way that worked for me. I don't know if it works for everybody this way, but in the way that I did it and how it may help others.
Well, that's cool.
And then I'm going to sit in on a panel, and we're going to talk about some of the difficulties of, working in an environment. I'll try to bring up, mental health issues. If you've got some things you'd like me to bring up, Ms. Berlin, I can definitely, use the talking points, because from what it sounds like, the guy I'm going to be, doing the panel with is like a doctor of something. So I'm like, well, I've got a freaking bachelor's.
Fancy.
I'm a PM. I have no freaking clue what I'm going to be doing. So yeah, I'm going to be up there speaking. So come by and say hi. If you're a listener, that would be great. And, I'll get your autograph instead of you getting mine, because I'm not special like that. So, Mr. Betcher, are you anything interesting happen in your world with regards to malware?
Let's see. Well, RDP is still open in the internet.
Hey,
quite often.
What?
Hey, yeah. Spoiler alert, dude. We got. Anyway, all right. So, spoiler alert. Hello.
I thought that was a lead-in.
It is. Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry, I didn't.
Come on, Brian.
Talk about spoiler alert.
Give us the program.
Well, I was going to ask if you had any kind of weird, interesting things, but apparently, yes. The lead-in. Well done there. We'll fix this in post. It's all good. Take 2.
Right.
Take 2. I saw a tweet. What was it? Late Friday or early Saturday from Malware Tech, and he had said, "Oh, look, somebody found a weaponized, Bluekeep." So that was very interesting. Apparently, for those of you who don't know what Bluekeep was, it was the RDP vulnerability that happened 2019. Was it 0708? What was it?
Yeah, 0708.
Yeah, 0708. Pre-authenticated RCE, I believe, is the buzzwords for the day on this.
Yep.
So if you're one of the number of companies out there that's not using are using RDP on your exposure to your internet, one, you should probably find a better job, because that company's destined for awfulness, or find a way to remediate it.
So many people do it.
Why? Why?
You know,
It's not like
lots of
VPNs are
reasons.
expensive. It's not like VPNs are expensive unless you're using Nord. Oh, wait.
Oh, snap.
Too soon. Too soon.
Wow.
Too soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I just kicked them.
Yeah, lack of time and resources and knowledge and you name it. That's the reasons why
Yeah, it's a big lack of knowledge too. I mean, the companies still don't take security seriously. A lot of mid-sized small companies don't have any security people, and they just don't know that RDP with single factor open to the internet
is
necessarily a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And they're willing to take their chances. The problem is they don't look at the logs to see that, oh, well, we're getting every 3 seconds, we're getting a login attempt from China, Russia, wherever. Right.
They probably don't even have logging turned on.
Well, yeah,
What
if
it
you don't have
looks like
security
to me-
people, are you going to be looking at logs? I mean,
Well, you might. Some good IT people will, because they want to know, what's going on. Networking people as well
okay.
may look at that. But from what I've seen, in observing a couple of these, is that it appears that these organizations are getting a list of OpenRDP, and they're just sticking it in their computers, and they're just hitting all of them in sequence,
Right.
trying different usernames and passwords and seeing if they get a hit.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're slamming one of them all the time. They're hitting, say, an individual one every few seconds, and then it stops for a few minutes, and then every few seconds again stops. It's like a pattern to it, right?
Right.
And so that leads me to believe that they have a giant list of them that they're just hammering all day long, hoping to get hits, going through password lists and things like that, rainbow tables, whatever it is, to try and get access via that method.
Right.
So if you have RDP open to the internet, you're going to get found. You're going to be put on their list, and you're going to be.
You're never going to stop being a target.
That's right. You won't stop being a target until you shut that down.
Yeah.
And if you have to mitigate without VPN, let's say you find it, we'll put in a rule in your firewall to disallow RDP except from where you need it from, because there's no shame in blocking 99.999999% of the internet.
Yep.
Right. You just mitigated that risk quite a bit, and then start working on your VPN, because that may take a few days.
Yep.
But the important thing is notice it now, do scans or whatever, ask people. If you ask the question, you might get an answer, right? That's truthful, and then you can start working on that. Otherwise, this Bluekeep is going to hit you hard. And even if you do update, people are still going to thrash it.
Right. Yeah. They said we're looking at the Bleeping Computer article. Malware Tech, of course, they reference his post about looks like Bluekeep worm, but it was originally Kevin Beaumont was running an external pot RDP honeypot. He said it started messing up, like the VMs would be corrupted and need to be rebooted, and he noticed that some issues were coming up, and researchers were saying the final payload. Well, actually, there's a number of things. So there's steps. So there's an initial PowerShell command that's ran, which downloads a second encoded. An encoded PowerShell command downloads a second PowerShell command script, which is also encoded, and then the final payload's a cryptocurrency miner like Monero. So the one thing I found interesting was they say that the cryptocurrency miners detected in 25 out of 68 antivirus engines on VirusTotal, which was spelled wrong, but Sorry, I just noticed it said Virtus total, and I'm like, what the hell is a Virtus total? And
I see that too.
Yeah. Anyway, my apologies. So it sounds like that this was kind of slapped together. I mean, normally most bad guys try to make it 0 out of 68 on virus total, right? Am I wrong on this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they it could have been a directed attack potentially, where they were like, oh, it doesn't get detected by McAfee, and we know the company we're trying to target uses McAfee, so we're just going to send it out. At least that's my theory on that. So, also
it's just reused code.
Right. And actually that's what he says is happening, according to Malware Tech, who had done some analysis. The same code that was added to Metasploit modules in September was also present in the malware. So you take that as, I would take that with a grain of salt myself, because there may only be one way of doing a specific part of the code that he's showing. I'm always willing to say there's more than one way to code something up, but in this case, it may be the only way of doing it. So, it's not, they're saying it's not reliable. It does cause honeypot crashes. So it's almost like MSO 8067 was when it first came out, where it wasn't 100%, would cause, killing of services or dropping of, what is it? Not NFS. It was the
SMB?
file sharing. Yeah, SMB. SMB. It would kill the SMB service. MSO 8067 used to do that back in the day.
And if you don't think that this is a major hack, a major bug in Windows, just know this. Windows has sent a patch for Bluekeep for Windows XP and Windows Server 2003. So they know that this is a huge deal. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sending these patches for these outdated operating systems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I was looking for, because one of the things I like to do is also talk about how you can fix it. Microsoft.com had a security blog from, looks like August 8th of this year, talking about how to protect against Bluekeep. They said roughly 400,000 endpoints using their telemetry lack any form of network level authentication. So there's 400,000 endpoints out there roughly that are at risk to this Bluekeep vulnerability still, well, as of August. So hopefully by November, more people have patched all their stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing is they showed like the timeline between patch releases. They say the patch release and appearance of worm outbreak is difficult to predict. They referenced MSO 8067. The patch was released 23 October 2008. Oh, happy Christmas. That was over 10 years ago. Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. Happy Christmas. Happy anniversary. So yeah, over 10 years ago, MSO 8067 came out. The outbreak happened late December. MS 1710, which I believe was that Conficker? I forget.
No,
that's what
that's what 08067 is.
Yeah. You're right. MS 1710. Oh, what the hell is that called? I forget. Eternal Blue.
That's not
Eternal Blue.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Eternal Blue. Yeah, I had the power of the Googles. They issued that one in March 14th, 2017, and then the outbreak happened roughly 2 to 3 months later. They issued the patch for Bluekeep on May 13th, 2019, and so far the outbreak, according to as of August, hasn't happened yet. So maybe it took a little longer, but they're actually starting to try to work on the payload for that one now. So
and RDP is going to hit servers.
Right.
And of course, nobody puts antivirus on servers because it just takes too many resources. Right. So it's not going to hit this stuff like this. The example here is the Monero cryptocurrency miner. So the fact that 25 out of 68 AV engines caught it, that doesn't even matter because you're not going to have antivirus on your servers, right? Nobody puts antivirus on servers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So one of the new things, and I don't know if this is going to be applicable to everybody, but they do have the Linux subsystem now for Windows, and if you have a halfway decent and up to date OS, you could potentially put a Windows box out there that will only connect over port 22 SSH. And then, you could use that along with, RDP once you've made your SSH connection and tunnel that over the SSH connection. So you don't have to have a Linux bastion, which then, or a Linux VPN, which then you would use to get in. I have a question about this, because this is one of those ones that does tend to get everybody. Should Windows or should certain services not be allowed to make a connection or start on as a service on an IP address interface that isn't RFC 1918? Would that make it safer? Would RDP be safer if it was internal addresses only?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, I'm hearing people out there, probably wailing.
You think they're yelling at us?
Oh, God, they are.
You know what the best thing is, though? We can't hear them.
There's not us. They're yelling at me because,
they're yelling at you because you're the one that asked.
Yeah, you're just an ignorant, project manager now. You don't know what you're talking about. You've never been in the trenches, bro. Okay.
I have, and I still say yes. Fight me, bro.
Oh, wow. Oh, my.
Okay, maybe not.
So one of the two things you can do is, one, turn off RDP on your externally facing applications or servers. The other one is you can. I think the other option was to set up network level authentication, and that is, I believe, a partial mitigation. So that is
because you still have
RDP out there, right?
Yeah.
Right. You might also want to enact some kind of two-factor or push mechanism that you could use to help with that. They say, so if you have RDP listening on the network, we strongly encourage you to move the RDP listener behind some type of second-factor authentication, such as a VPN, SSL tunnel, or RDP gateway. You could use RDP gateways. That would work too. You can also enable network-level NLA, which is a mitigation to prevent unauthenticated access to the RDP tunnel. Now, assuming
I have a sideway, like a side comment for that after we're done too, because I had to do stuff with that earlier in the week.
Really, you had to set up what, two-factor on a Windows box or something for login?
No, I need. So I have a lab on my laptop, and I wanted to make sure one of my detections was working for null sessions.
Right. Oh.
And that's regarding like network level authentication and SMB and stuff, right?
Right.
So it's pretty impossible to do to make a current even 2008.
Really?
To make it do null sessions. So I was using enum for Linux. And it seems somebody could either correct me if I'm wrong or tell me what I'm doing, because I followed every registry key and every GPO setting possible for 2008 standard. Is I think anything that's actually vulnerable to null sessions has been an OS that has been upgraded from a 2003 server. I think. At least that's the only thing I can tell.
Now, you're wanting to remove the ability to do null sessions?
No, I want to be able to do null sessions. I want it. I want a very insecure VM that I can test my null session detection on.
So you think it's been removed in all later versions?
I mean, it was though. Like starting in 2008, right. They secured down the OS. Starting then.
Yeah.
And you got SMB v1.
Interesting.
Right.
Not sure.
Yep. Yeah. So from what I can tell, I've talked to like some people that have it. Like our sister company does pen tests, and everyone that they've been able to get null sessions on have been domain controllers that have been upgraded from a 2003 box.
Ooh.
So I'm not positive that that's right because I don't even know how to prove that. So yeah, that was just my little side on NLA.
Okay. Well, if anybody has any suggestions on how to, make her box vulnerable, then...
Or if you have one and you could just give me a snapshot of it, that would be amazing.
That'll work too. I think this comes down to some of the issues that people had with Windows 10 and, people complaining that the updates happen and whatever. And I'm starting to see this, at least where I'm working at right now, where we're dealing with a major customer who's requiring vendor assessments being done for certain developers who are going to be integrating to their assets. And some of these developers are pushing back. Oh, why do I need to do this? This is so expensive. Oh my God, I can't afford this and whatever. It all comes down to liability, right? Because Bluekeep, if, like I had mentioned earlier, if Microsoft had made it so that RDP could not be connected to non-1918 addresses, Bluekeep would be lessened. I wouldn't say it would be completely gone, but there wouldn't be a Bluekeep.
Over so many businesses, though.
Well, if it never existed in the first place,
that's
there
different.
wouldn't be a Bluekeep to happen.
Right. If you're taking it away is the hard part.
Right.
But it's the same thing about securing anything when you go into an environment that's behind, right? It's way easier to build something secure than to take away the ability to do stuff.
Right. And here, my thing is, I'm doing my contact hours now for PMP, so I'm seeing, things like, future values and, the Boeing, the CEO of Boeing was just talking recently on to Congress because, he had some naughty things happen at his company and, with the 737 Maxes and whatever. And, some really simple things that took maybe 10 minutes to fix would have saved him billions of dollars. The same thing with the Equifax breach, the struts vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
A few simple line changes or configuration changes, which would have taken 10 to 15 minutes and perhaps a reboot, billions of dollars down the drain. And, I'm thinking the same thing here with this RDP stuff. People are like, oh, I got to have RDP. Well, you know what? When you get breached, there's going to be millions of dollars in damages, and it's going to come out that, well, if we'd have just turned off RDP, we'd have been fine. Yeah,
it just comes down to the processes around just turning it off. Doesn't always work like that.
I understand.
Well, I mean, that they take that risk.
Right.
As like, oh, yeah, we could just turn it off, but it's also going to take this much time and planning and money,
right?
And maybe new software and maybe new people and maybe something else. Or we can just keep on going until we have a chance to do it, and maybe we won't get hacked between now and then.
Yeah. I don't know. Mr. Brett, you had a point? You had something to say?
Well, yeah, it takes time to put a mitigating control in place, like VPN in front of it. Something like that. But I think just educating management on what the risks actually are is a 5-minute conversation that could save a ton of money and effort and all that jazz.
Yep.
And VPN, by contrast, is not that expensive when you think about it. Could happen, and what most likely will happen.
Right.
I mean, it's not fun to get ransomware on your file servers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun at all.
Yep.
And it's not fun trying to figure out how to restore your backups because you never practiced it before and you don't know how to do it.
Yeah, they're not really backups until you've actually restored them. At least in my opinion,
right.
They're just data.
They're back downs until you try to back them back up, right? That's back up. You get them back up.
Oh, look at you. Wow. Okay.
So technically they're not backups, right? Until you actually put them back up, right?
Right. Yep. Well, I don't have anything else about the Bluekeep stuff. I do have at least one other news story I'd like to talk about if everybody's okay with that.
That game.
I don't want to talk. I actually had one about the nuclear power plant in India that was, or Pakistan, I believe, that was hacked, but that one's a little too dark for me. So we had earlier this year we had Adam Baldwin on the show, and he also spoke at InfoSec Campout this year, which was great. I was listening to another podcast that I tend to listen to, and I heard about the fact that hacking 20 high-profile dev accounts could compromise half of the NPM ecosystem. And before you think that's FUD, you have to think about some of these people or some of these devs run really, really important applications in the node environment. Some of them handle like the somebody just decided he wanted to stop supporting this application. He gave it to some rando dude, and all of a sudden now it's got malware all over the place. Well, it's along the same lines here, where they're saying roughly you find somebody who's you find the most popular Node.js packages, you find out who the developer is, and potentially they've got Hunter 2 as their password, and you could own the entire system. Or, you do like that other guy did and go, hey, you've been doing this a long time. I'll take it off your hands, blah, blah, blah. Sure, yeah, I'll give it to you.
Or I'll give you, a few $1,000s if you let me take that burden off of you. I mean, it says here, the average package, it loads 79 third-party packages from 39 different maintainers.
Right.
That's just the average.
Yep. Yeah. And what did they say? Just 20 accounts. They said 391 highly influential maintainers affect more than 10,000 packages, making them prime targets for attack. And we talked about some of that during the show when we had him on. It was like, well, what are you doing to make sure that the integrity of the packages are being maintained? I don't think it's necessarily the integrity of the packages. It's the integrity of who has access to the packages, or who has access to the data in some cases too. But yeah, it's amazing. They said they don't need to hack into the accounts. There's alternative. There's also the alternative, find security flaws in the existing packages. So if you can look up, one of the things I wanted to do at last year's InfoSec Campout was to kind of have a not a hackathon, but like a code audit-a-thon or whatever, where we take something popular, say wget, and we pull down the source for it, and we look through it for potential vulnerabilities. I'm sure that sounds exciting to absolutely nobody but myself, but hey, I don't.
I would enjoy watching. I don't know how I would contribute, but I think it would be interesting.
It's not exactly a spectator sport. It's not like, Iron Chef America. Oh my God, he's looking at the if-then statement, or whatever.
Well, I would ask a lot of questions.
Is he initializing the variable? No, he didn't do that, or whatever. But no, I was just, for folks who want to understand how to code, or, what to look for with code, I was hoping to find people who would be able to, walk us through that, or what would be the process of doing that. Seems like everybody now just shoves it into Veracode and calls it good, but, they miss stuff, even Veracode. But yeah, they're saying, significant percentage of all packages depend on code with at least one publicly known vulnerability. So of those 20 people that you need to hack into, or one of those 20 people, there's a very good chance that because of dependency hell, one of those 20 people have a package that you're going to use in your environment. And
yeah, it's actually, there's a graph below it, and it says if you get one of these influential maintainers, and there's roughly 400 of them, if you get one, you basically reached over 30% of your packages.
Nice.
Right? And then it's a logarithmic graph. So to get above 50%, you need about 20.
Oh yeah, I see your point. Yeah, with the yeah.
So that's where they get the number 20 from. Then you're above 50-50.
God, talk about wormable. I mean, there you go. I mean, if you could, touch, a handful of folks or, whatever, you could definitely do some kind of wormable attack with that. And, they're just web apps. So, they're already probably fairly lax security as it is. So, I love Adam. I appreciate his hard work and what he has to go through to maintain all that stuff. But this does not make his job any easier, I don't think, in many cases. I think it probably just makes it that much more difficult because, well, look at it now. It's like, what does he do with the top 20 people? What does he do with developers who have, really popular modules? Does he go,
please never quit what you're doing.
Right.
Never give it to anyone else.
Well, and we talked at InfoSec Campout. He's like, we're starting to, keep track of those really popular modules. But what do you do to those folks that have those modules? Do you go, okay, look, you are a liability to us now. We need you to start implementing some secure practices. Should NPM have an SDLC kind of guideline to say, okay, you're going to have 2FA on your login for your GitHub. We're going to need to be able to monitor the code repo for commits. If we start seeing people doing a lot of pulls or something, or, if you start allowing people to make commits to this, we're going to have to, know that, we're going to have to vet if you decide to do turnover on these things. I mean, it just seems like that these are things that need to start happening for larger software, software packages, but I don't know. I could be wrong, but it seems like that is what I would take into account. We need to start protecting customers and developers from themselves in many cases. But I don't know. Thoughts?
True.
Anybody?
That.
Yeah, you're a filthy developer, Mr. Betcher. How do you do everything? Is everything on your laptop with a back down and no backups, or what? How do you do your stuff? Do you have MFA?
No, I have just a local machine that I work on.
Okay, well, where's your code stored?
So say it again.
Sorry. Where's your code stored?
Locally, and I back up to the cloud like every week.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Without breaking any OPSEC, if this is OPSEC, you can tell me to go stuff it. But do you use a GitHub or a Bitbucket or something like that? And if so, do you have two-factor on it?
Nope. I zip everything up, encrypt it, and push it out to a not a shared drive, a cloud storage.
Okay. So like a Dropbox or something.
Yeah.
Well, you're the only developer, so that makes sense for you.
And yeah, it makes sense for me. I know it's not easy to do in larger organizations like that. In fact, it would be kind of lame.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, what are they going to do with these guys if they don't implement better security practices? Are they going to fire them?
You really can't fire somebody you're not paying. And, if the developers don't like it, they'll be just like, well, I'm just going to quit. And I'm going to take all my code with me, or I'm going to no longer support it. And somebody's going to fork the hell out of it and probably put a Monero crypto miner in it. So in some cases, the developers have got to want to enable the security. And one, they have to understand their actions could have repercussions for everybody. But yeah. I think like the gentleman who, just decided to hand off whatever he was working on for the past 7 years to some rando that he'd never heard of. I don't think a lot of them think about the future like that when they're handing off a project of that type. So I would be interested to see in the next 6 months if we see another, not NPM specifically, but like, another large repo have a problem where it's like, oh yeah, somebody else's package got infected with something. I think that I could see more of that happening, especially if the company you're wanting to target, uses specific packages, or, they use certain front ends, or if they're using AngularJS, or not AngularJS, but if they're using, Node or, Ruby on Rails, or, something like that, where, what packages are using because they're using a specific CMS, then, you be able to figure it out, and all you got to do is inject yourself into that developer, and socially engineering to get where you need to go. They have all the time in the world. So,
Yep.
all right. Any other thoughts on that one before we go? I think we could probably call it good. We have some other. I think we have some other articles in the document. We can always talk about those next week as well if we don't have an interview. But all right. Well. Yeah. So.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
Since we're in the appendix section, yes, you must put antivirus on your servers. Okay, just
Good job.
I'm just putting that out there.
What, like Clam AV?
You need to.
You can use
I was joking, and
sure,
you
Defender
agreed with me. So
yeah, Windows Defender's great. I think.
I mean, I like it.
We use it. Yeah.
Better than nothing.
Yes, it is better than nothing. And, it gets regular updates anyway. I see all the threat intel stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The threat intelligence changes and bits. So,
yep.
Yeah.
My anti-malware service executable is thrashing my CPU as we speak.
Oh, my. Well, okay. That might explain a lot. If you're getting any kind of degradation of performance, I guess that would be why you'd want to do that. I was going to say, do people turn on antivirus for containers? Like Windows has containers. Would you turn it on for a Windows container? Given all the overhead, just having Windows inside of a container, would Defender be too much? I don't know. If anybody does, let us know, because I'd like to find out what, if you're running Windows containers and how you handle, the security of those.
I would think if you're using containers, then you would be using whitelisting. That's just me.
You mean like app locker, or not app locker, but software restriction policies?
Yes, and or app locker. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I
mean, you have a container, so it's small. You know what you're going to run in there, and you've filtered out everything else. Well, that's the point. You know what you're going to run in there, so why not do whitelisting?
That's fair.
In your container.
Yeah. That
way nothing else can run. I mean, if you're going to use containers, then do whitelisting.
That's true. Okay. So in our show notes, I see here at the bottom, securewv.org training. Is that you, Ms. Berlin?
Yeah. So
are you giving it, or will you be attending it?
I'm giving it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I put the link in there. So if anybody's going, you already have to have a ticket to the conference, but our training's free. My friend Jeremy and I are going to be giving an 8-hour. It's called D&D.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't know. It's defense and detection tabletops. Okay. It's like Dungeons and Dragons themed, kind of. Definitely Dungeons and Dragons style tabletops, but we also have VMs that people use to attack. And then the software that the company that I work for, we use as a SIM to detect the attacks that they're actually running. And then that all gets rolled into the tabletops.
Oh, very cool. You've already disgusted me with your unicorn picture there and the displacer looking thing going on.
So it's both unicorn. So Jeremy loves unicorns and I love Cthulhu. So it's both themed.
Yeah.
So we kind of throw as much in there as we possibly can and have, we did a 4-hour version at B-Sides Cleveland this year.
Yeah.
And it was a huge hit. It was so much fun.
Cool.
We had one of our help desks, we give people different roles, right? Mm-hmm. So one of our companies had a help desk person that ended up being an insider threat, but he was also the CISO. And successfully ran away to a non-extradition country.
Oh, wow. Okay.
With all of the company's money and left the other 2 people there having to pick up the pieces. So yeah, that was one of them. It turns out that it's a lot of fun.
Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you've already got a ticket for Secure WV, go check the training out. So
and they're not sold out. So also you can still buy it.
As of November the 3rd of 2019. Yeah.
They won't. I don't think they'll sell out.
Oh, okay.
They have a bigger venue this year.
Okay. All right. So I I found a new podcast this week. There's 3 episodes out right now called
Ooh.
High T Security Podcast.
Okay.
Zoe Rose and Sean Wright. He's at Sean Wright Sec. She's at, I think it's at Zoe Rose. I could be wrong.
I met her at B-Sides Leeds.
Oh, very cool. Okay. So yeah, they did 3 episodes there. It's non-US based. So if that interests you, I don't think there are enough non-US based podcasts out there having to deal with security. So if you are interested in checking that out, they did 3 episodes so far. Well, they did what? They did 3 episodes, but 2 of them were posted on the same date. But so the last one came out on the 28th. It was pretty good. They talked about AppSec and TLS stuff with Sean Wright, and that was pretty interesting. So yeah, go and check that out. There's a link in the show notes. And yeah, you can follow all of them on Twitter. I think they mentioned their Twitter handles, but Sean Wright Sec, that's Wright is WRIGHT on Twitter, is at least one of them they mentioned. So, and there's a handful of folks. Fat Hobbit's on there, Malware Owl. Okay, so the second episode has a lot of different guests. So, yeah, you can Info Sanity, Pyro Guy _UK. So there's a number of folks there. Okay, cool. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. We have a lot of folks helping us out there with basically tip jar. So if you found value in us discussing this or the risk analysis talk last week, or our Lee Holmes discussion or any of our container and AppSec stuff that we've done this year, please feel free to, leave us something as little as $1 that goes to help support the Zoom and help out with our Slack and building community and hosting fees and such. And we appreciate everybody who helps out with that. So, Ms. Berlin, tell everybody about Mental Health Hackers and yourself on Twitter.
So we will be at, let me think here. I think B-Sides Connecticut was this weekend, or maybe it's next weekend. Okay. I think B-Sides Connecticut's next weekend. Yeah. So we were just at B-Sides Dallas, which was this last weekend. When this comes out, we'll be at B-Sides Connecticut, and then B-Sides Newcastle in the UK, and B-Sides Fredericton in the weird part of Canada on the east side of Maine.
Wait, Fredericton.
New Brunswick, maybe. I don't remember. I'm not going to any of them. Instead, I'll be training. But you can follow us on Twitter at Hackers Health. And then a lot of people are asking about how to volunteer, and that's all on our website.
Okay. Wow. So B-Sides Fredericton is in New Brunswick in Canada.
Yes. I got it right.
Friday, November 15th to Saturday, November 16th. It's at the Fredericton Inn, 1315 Regent Street. So I don't know if they still have tickets, but let's go see. Anyway, Mr. Betcher, tell people about LogMD and how they get a hold of you and talk about that stuff.
Yeah, it's the login malicious discovery tool. I wrote it along with one Michael Goff. And our website is log-md.com. Helps you log what you need to and not more than what you need to. And it does a whole bunch of other stuff too. That's really cool. Working on getting signed and unsigned binaries put into a report. Basically, whatever you're running on like a process snapshot. Processes have the main process and then a bunch of modules along with it. So we basically look at all those modules as well, see if they're signed, see if they're side loaded, things like that. So that's pretty cool. Helps you in an incident response scenario. So check it out, log-md.com.
Nice. And you can be found on Twitter at
Betcherpwned, my last name, and then PWNED.
Right on. So yeah, the B-Sides Fredericton, they still have tickets available. It's the 3rd annual one. B-Sides Fredericton, that's all one word, .ca. And they have a Facebook, a Twitter, and a LinkedIn. I put a link to the official Eventbrite page where you can go buy a ticket. So if you are in the area of New Brunswick, I know that's not exactly the easiest place to fly to. I don't know, but
no, it is not.
It's out there. You know, I've been to.
I've always forget about that time zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because nobody's ever. I mean, you don't think of people living there in that time zone.
Well, it's just on the other side of Maine, so you could, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of another.
It's not Eastern.
No,
it's like
I'm thinking of like Newfoundland or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's near there.
Yeah, New Brunswick. You can just drive over the Maine. So if you're in Portland, Maine, or in Boston or something, it's probably just 3-4 hour drive up to Fredericton and St. John.
Yeah.
And you can head over to Nova Scotia. I've been to Moncton. Yes, I did a cruise up the St. Lawrence and did that. It was a very nice area. Yeah. Prince Edward Island, that whole area. Yeah, it's really nice. So, okay. So podcast, you can find us on Twitter at Brakesec, Brakesec. We have a Slack, very active Slack, had a lot of discussion on there. We actually had a news story that kind of dovetailed nicely into one of the discussions we had about Linux on the desktop. And there's a link in the show notes about does Linux have a marketing problem, or why it would, not ever, they're saying that the point of, Linux on the desktop won't be until, the mid 30th century or something like that. So, because it'll never happen, because I think there's too much fragmentation in the market or too much segmentation in the market. So there's a link to Hackaday where somebody has an opinion piece on that. I don't necessarily disagree or agree with either side, but, it fits a niche. So, yeah, join our Slack, email us at bds.podcast@gmail.com. Hey, PR lady, I know you didn't listen to an episode because you had to ask me for my email. So there it is. I know you're not going to listen to this episode either. So, or send us a DM to Brakesec. And you can follow me on Twitter at BrianBrake, BryanBrake. TPub, we have a TPub shirt. You can go get official gear from Brakesec, tpublic.com/user/BDS podcast, I think is all one word. It'll be in the show notes. There's a link in the show notes to the store there too. So if you want to go get a t-shirt or something, you can go check that out. So, we're working on InfoSec Campout 2020. We already have the venue. We already have the slots for the camping, August 28th and 29th, 2020. So mark that on your calendars. We'll be looking at putting out tickets for sale probably after the first of the year. So, grab your camping gear, grab a flight up here to Seattle or something, come hang out with us for a couple of days and, roast some marshmallows with us. So, looking forward to checking and running the second annual one of that. So we're also looking for sponsors. We're starting to engage sponsors for that next year. So, all right, cool. That was it for the Breaking Down Security this week. Have a great week. Be kind to one another. Take care of yourselves because you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.